I hope everybody's doing okay. Thank you so much for coming back. Matthew 8 is where we're at. It's right after the Sermon on the Mount. We're going to see that Jesus is coming down from the mountain and he's about to heal somebody from leprosy. So, let's get started. Matthew 8, verse 1. When he came down from the mountain, great crowds followed him. And behold, a leper came to him and knelt before him, saying, Lord, if you will, you can make me clean. And Jesus stretched out his hand and touched him, saying, I will, be clean. And immediately his leprosy was cleansed. And Jesus said to him, See that you say nothing to anyone, but go, show yourself to the priest and offer the gift that Moses commanded, for a proof to them. So, the first thing I want to acknowledge is, he went up to Jesus, the man with leprosy went up to Jesus, and he said, Lord, if you will, heal me. Right there tells us that not everything that you ask for you're going to get. You have to ask him for his will to be done. If it's in his will, can this happen? That's how our attitude should be. It's what he sees fit, if it's what he wants or what he needs, not us. This man had leprosy, and he probably really wanted it gone, but he still said, if you will, heal me. And Jesus, being merciful and gracious, healed the man. But then he told him to go and show himself to the priest and to offer the gift that Moses commanded. Now, I'm not going to get into all that. If you want to know what Moses told people to do if they have leprosy, go read Leviticus 14. That's where it's at. But it's a long list of things. It's pretty insane. But now, thank God, we just have to say, Lord, please heal me from this. If your will, I want your will to be done, but please heal me from this. And if it's in his will, he'll heal you. When he had entered Capernaum, a centurion came forward to him, appealing to him, Lord, my servant is lying, paralyzed at home, suffering terribly. And he said to him, I will come and heal him. But the centurion replied, Lord, I am not worthy to have you come under my roof, but only say the word, and my servant will be healed. For I too am a man under authority, with soldiers under me. And I say to one, Go, and he goes, and to another, Come, and he comes, and to my servant, Do this, and he does it. When Jesus heard this, he marveled, and said to those who followed him, Truly I tell you, with no one in Israel have I found such faith. I tell you, many will come from east and west and recline at table with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob in the kingdom of heaven, while the sons of the kingdom will be thrown into the outer darkness. In that place there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. And to the centurion Jesus said, Go, let it be done for you as you have believed. And the servant was healed at that very moment. The centurion had a servant who was paralyzed, and Jesus healed the person. Didn't even have to go to his house. He just said, it will be done. And it was. It's a really great thing. So we can just pray where we're at, and Jesus will help us with things. Wherever you're at, you can make an altar. That's pretty much what this person did. He said, please do this for me. I know that you can do it. And Jesus did it. I want you to look at verse 11. I tell you, many will come from east and west and recline at table with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob in the kingdom of heaven. That just sounds amazing. Sounds awesome. When Jesus entered Peter's house, he saw his mother-in-law lying sick with a fever. He touched her hand, and the fever left her, and she rose and began to serve him. That evening they brought to him many who were oppressed by demons, and he cast out the spirits with a word and healed all who were sick. This was to fulfill what was spoken by the prophet Isaiah. He took our illnesses and bore our diseases. He can, just like the last two things, he can heal us. These things is showing that he's fulfilling prophecy. He's healing people. He's taking away their sicknesses, their diseases. And then, when he's on the cross, he's going to bear our ultimate disease, which is sin. Sin's an infection. It's terrible. It creeps in and then it spreads. And it's an awful thing. But he became all of that sin for us. He who knew no sin became sin. So, it's really awesome. Verse 18 says, "Now, when Jesus saw a crowd around him, he gave orders to go over to the other side. A scribe came up and said to him, 'Teacher, I will follow you wherever you go.' And Jesus said, 'Foxes have holes, birds of the air have nests, but the Son of Man has nowhere to lay his head.' Another of the disciples said to him, 'Lord, let me first go and bury my father.' And Jesus said to him, 'Follow me, and leave the dead to bury their own dead.'" Now, this man said, "I will follow you wherever you go." And Jesus was saying that certain animals have places to go, certain people have places to go, but the Son of Man, talking about himself, has nowhere to lay his head. Jesus was like this homeless dude that just walked around. He didn't have anywhere to stay most of the time. He had to ask people to stay at their houses or camp out, but he didn't have his own place to lay his head. And he was telling this so people would understand, if you follow me, you're going to be the same way. And then another person said, "I'll follow you, but let me go do this first. Let me go bury my father first." Jesus said, "Follow me and leave the dead to bury their own dead." It's a pretty interesting thing, because the people that are without Jesus are dead. They're already condemned. It's one of the reasons why we don't condemn them. Because, one, Jesus didn't condemn them. They condemned themselves by not following Jesus. John 3:16 just does say that for God so loved the world that whoever believes in him shall not perish but have everlasting life. But if you keep reading that, it talks about how the people that don't follow him are already condemned. They don't need us to condemn them, and they don't need Jesus to condemn them right now, because they are already condemned. So they're dead. They're spiritually dead. So they said, "Leave the dead to bury their dead and follow me." So there's that. And then the other thing about that is, whatever you have to do throughout your day, whatever plans you set up, deal with it after you follow Jesus, after you've spoken with Jesus, after you've asked him if you even need to be doing that. It's always follow him first. Seek first the kingdom of heaven. So, seek him first. And when he got into the boat, his disciples followed him. And behold, there arose a great storm on the sea, so that the boat was being swamped by the waves. But he was asleep. And they went and woke him, saying, "Save us, Lord, we are perishing." And he said to them, "Why are you afraid, O you of little faith?" Then he rose and rebuked the winds and the sea, and there was a great calm. And the men marveled, saying, "What sort of man is this, that even winds and sea obey him?" So he got on a boat. He was sleeping. A storm came upon them. The disciples got really freaked out and worried. But imagine you're on this little boat, because it was probably a little boat, most likely. And I don't know if you've ever been out in the ocean during a storm. I haven't. But the way that I've seen things depicted, those waves get huge. And that little boat could get turned over, and they could be lost at sea. And they were probably freaked out that they were going to fall in the water and drown. That's my bet. So they woke up Jesus and said, "There's a storm, what are we going to do?" And Jesus was like, "What are y'all doing, guys? Why are you guys so afraid? You don't have to be afraid." And then Jesus was like, "I rebuke you. Calm, be still." And the winds and the storm, it calmed. Everything obeyed him. And one thing I like to point out, everything communicates to God because everything was created by him. And, like back when Cain and Abel were fighting, and then Abel was murdered, and the Lord spoke to Cain and said, "Your brother's blood cries to me from the ground." I imagine the waters, the storm, and the winds, and Jesus spoke to them. They were probably like, "Oh, crap, that's our king." And they settled at attention. That's why it was still. That's what I like to imagine. But it was pretty cool. But yeah, what sort of man is this that even winds and sea obey him? Jesus has the final authority over everything. Everything. And when he came to the other side, to the country of the Gadarenes, 2 demon-possessed men met him, coming out of the tombs, so fierce that no one could pass that way. And behold, they cried out, "What have you to do with us, O Son of God? Have you come here to torment us before the time?" Now a herd of many pigs was feeding at some distance from them, and the demons begged him, saying, "If you cast us out, send us away into the herd of pigs." And he said to them, "Go." So they came out and went into the pigs, and behold, the whole herd rushed down the steep bank into the sea and drowned in the waters. The herdsmen fled, and going into the city they told everything, especially what had happened to the demon-possessed men. And behold, all the city came out to meet Jesus, and they saw him, and they begged him to leave their region. Jesus and the disciples, they get over, after they leave their boat, they're on the land, and then there's demon-possessed men that are like out to get people, and so Jesus commands these demons to go into the pigs, and then the pigs died. I like this sentence in verse 29. "What have you to do with us, O Son of God? Have you come here to torment us before the time?" It really shows in this sentence how much we don't know. Like, these demons, these spirits, the angels that are around that we don't see, because at this moment there's angels ascending and descending. They're ascending and descending to heaven, to earth. Like, there's things that we are not really aware of going on around us. And these demons, they knew that there's going to be a time when everything that we see is over, and there will be a new earth, a new creation, a new Jerusalem, new heaven. And there will be this great white judgment. And like these demons knew that. So they said, "Have you come to torment us before the time?" It's really like mind-boggling, I guess. There's so much going on that we don't know. But we don't need to. We just have to trust in God. And then the people of that region asked them to leave. They didn't want anything to do with Jesus. So later in chapter 9, Jesus gets on the boat and leaves. But I am moving. But yeah, Jesus is the ultimate healer. And he came at that time to heal people from their illnesses, and then later on the cross he'll bear our diseases because he becomes our sin. And he takes sicknesses away. I've had things happen that I could pray it off, like headaches. I could pray them off. Jesus will usually heal the headache. This is an interesting story, but I got shot in the eye by an airsoft gun, and I was blind in one eye for a week. Never saw a doctor. But my family at the time were Christians, and they took anointing oil and anointed my head and prayed and healed, and I was healed within a week. I was with a friend and I kicked something really hard the wrong way, and I had to pretty much retrain my foot how to move right. It was weird. I couldn't really walk on it. I had a limp. I was whatever. But now my foot's fine and it doesn't hurt. And I was praying the whole time that God could heal me from it. And He did. And people were getting sick in the household, and I wasn't. And I was praying that I could not get sick, not as a way for myself, but for them to see that the only Christian in the house isn't sick, so hopefully it could glorify God. And they did notice, but I don't think they really cared. But yeah, Jesus will take away sicknesses. You just have to ask Him and ask that His will be done, and if it's in His will, it will be done. But not everything happens immediately. That's another thing. Some things take time. But I hope you guys have a good rest of your day. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys stay blessed. Thank you.